All right, let's get started.
Good morning, everyone. Charm TV, we're about to begin. Thanks all for being here. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's Thursday, September 7th, 2023 docket. We have several items on the agenda. Mr. Chair, do you have any opening comments?
Just good morning. Let's get started.
All right. Calling case number 1. Hari Ram LLC, trading as trade name pending. Proposed premises are located at 501 West Cold Spring Lane. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609B. The board may issue an additional Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to a current Class B beer, wine, and liquor license holder if the new establishment has 1, a minimum capital of investment of $500,000 for restaurant facilities, which may not include the cost of land or buildings, 2, 65% receipts for food sales, and 3, a minimum seating capacity of 125 individuals. Under the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609E, the board may waive the minimum capital investment requirement and the minimum seating capacity requirements if the board holds a public hearing and reviews the business practice of the license applicant and determines the license holder is in good standing and has a reputable business practice. The applicant is also requesting outdoor table service.
Counsel.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, Vinod Uppity, and applicant John Colson, who are present today.
Good morning. Would anyone who intends to present evidence this morning in this case, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Even if
Included opposition.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, let me just say before we get started, it's a long docket. You may not all get to testify if you're going to say the same thing as the other person, but I'll hear from everyone. Okay?
And we'll be happy to make a proffer at the appropriate
Okay.
time. Thank you
So let's get started.
Sure. All right. Good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants, Vinod Uppity, John Colson. Mr. Uppity is a holder of several Class B restaurant licenses, all very successful operations. Namaste, Baltimore, Tandoori Spice, Alonso's, Harbor Tandoor. And in this particular case, he is excited to do something that Baltimore doesn't have, that Baltimore, unlike Philadelphia or Washington, just doesn't offer yet. It's a bit of a niche market. It's southern Indian cuisine. And it runs vegan. Sometimes there's, it's spicier, believe it or not, than traditional Indian food can be. And it's been a dream of his to put one of these together. Now, it's very close and very proximate to his current restaurant, Namaste. So it'll be interesting to see how those two restaurants could complement each other. It's something that he's looked into as far as market share, as far as, not going to shoot himself in the foot by having another restaurant nearby.
Is 501 in that same section of Cold Spring Lane where Namaste is, or is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
On the same side of the street, about a block away
Okay.
from each other. So I'm going to present you with the menu first.
Thank you.
And due to the heat wave,
Thanks.
I may be providing you some of this stuff.
Thank you.
For the first time. So, before I move on, just to do some housekeeping here, Mr. Uppity procured signatures in support of his restaurant concept. I'd like to give you all a copy.
Okay, they'll be received.
That's the original. And if I might retain one copy, as
Yeah.
short.
No, that's good.
Thank you.
I'll share.
So, Mr. Uppity's other businesses that I mentioned, all are in good standing with the State Department of Assessment and Taxation. None of them have received a violation in the years of operation. And when it comes to Namaste, that's been since 2016, and all of the others thereafter have had no problems whatsoever. Mr. Uppity has a pretty good, overall, has a very good relationship with the community. He did run into some dissension when he had hoped to keep the restaurant open after 10 o'clock. It's my understanding, and they'll correct me if I'm wrong, that the community wanted a 10 o'clock hard close. As far as I know, there's very few places in that stretch that close at that hour. And Mr. Upperty briefly will explain the closing hours of other operations. Mr. Upperty understands it's a Class B license. He's a food man. He makes his money from making good food that make people from the neighborhood and beyond come back.
And it's going to be 65% food?
Well, no, we're asking you to waive that requirement as part of this request, based on the fact his excellent history as a business person and as a licensee pursuant to the statute.
What's the estimate that's going to be?
51% or more. And it very likely could hit 65, but I've always maintained that 65% is onerous and has resulted in the failure of businesses in Harbor East just a few years ago.
It's a marginal problem.
Agreed.
So what about the investments?
So as far as the investment, we should have, do we have Jonathan Melnick? Yeah, I think that was previously submitted to the board, Jonathan Melnick's evaluation
Appraisal.
of the property. He's here to testify as well.
Well,
For the
do
200
you have a document or anything? I don't think we have it.
Okay, that's, yeah,
Unless it's in this packet that I was just handed.
I know for a fact that one was conducted, and I believe it had been uploaded to the liquor board. We do have Mr. Melnick here. I do have that valuation in my email.
Do you know what the amount is?
I would need to just back off of Mr. Melnick, but I would submit to you it was like $481,000.
I apologize, I don't know for certain. My associate is here and she.
I can give you that amount. I can, and direct
We can
him.
actually look it up.
What's less than the 500?
Yeah.
Who is speaking?
I'm Jonathan Mellon. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Melnick is a name you may know.
Yes, we are familiar with his appraisals. But for everyone, when you do speak, please identify yourself. For our reporter, we're on television, and he has to maintain records of everybody and step up to the microphone.
Yeah, I be happy to lead, or happy to have Ms. Patterson testify at this time.
Well, let's move on, and she can find it while we're doing it.
Okay, I mean, I have it. Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is, I'm sorry, there's so many photos, and it is $414,500 based on I want to apologize, this is not the right appraisal. This is an appraisal for another place, so I apologize for
Yeah,
that.
that doesn't-
I'll be happy to go back to that.
We'll need it, obviously.
Yes, I'll be happy to go back to that, but I just want to move this along for the board and
Okay.
everyone here.
How about the seating?
Yes, they'll have, it appears to be 80 seats.
You need 125.
Yeah, I'm asking for a waiver of that, just because none of Mr. Upperty's restaurants have 125 seats. And he is asking for the waiver. He may have been granted a waiver in the past on this.
I don't know.
So if I may call Mr. Upperty at this time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I clarify something in the law?
Please.
One thing, which is my error, the law regarding the food sales receipt is incorrect. It is just the basic 51%. It is written wrong on the docket.
Okay.
Because the board can't waive that. But then when I was checking that, it's not actually 65. That's in the 46th district. This is in the 41st. It's 51%. So there's no no provision to waive. Where the board has the authority to waive, if it shall so choose, is the seating requirement in the capital investment. So I apologize for my error.
Okay.
Thank you. Call Mr. Upperty at this time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's move it along. Come on.
Yes, Mr. Upperty, please. All right, so tell us very briefly the other restaurants and other Class B licenses that you hold here in the city of Baltimore.
Okay. Good morning and namaste. This is Binod Upreti, and thank you. So I do own Namaste Baltimore, Namaste Baltimore Indian Cuisine. That's my first business. I was a pizza delivery man at the Pepe's. I used to deliver those area, get a good tips, and someday I dreamed that I may gonna, if I have a chance, I wanted to open in that neighborhood. And
Okay,
that,
what other restaurants do you
that
have?
dream came, and then later I bought the next door, Elanzo. Elanzo has a big history. It has been there since 1931, before the United Nations Second World War, and same name, Same thing, there is one thing is very important, is a 1 pound burger is still going on, and so everybody knows that. So when I purchased the Alonzo, the history of Alonzo, Mr. Alonzo, when he used to operate that place, he has no restriction. He used to operate up to 2 a.m., whatever the liquor board allows. And after he sold it to the Dopkins family, who owns this, Miss Shirley, and the covenant began there. And then for them, 11 o'clock for the weekdays and 1 o'clock for what is called Friday and Saturday. When I intend to purchase, because I was new guy, I didn't know a lot of things like today. So I had a contract, but already signed the contract, which I couldn't come out. Like, it's a difficult contract. But the community came, and then they lowered my hours.
To what time?
To midnight. So Friday, Saturday was 1 o'clock, but they lowered to 12 o'clock. And that's what happened, and I have been operating, and I'm such a grateful to the community. A lot of wonderful people, they supported me in the beginning. I had a lot of opposition. I'm blessed by community, and I bought some property, and I intend to retire, stay there, because this is beautiful, and I only have a good thing to say, even whoever coming here to oppose.
Mr. Uppert.
I sincerely asked them, this is what I intend to open this restaurant, and I reached out to them voluntarily. I attended the public meeting with the Roland Park, Caswick, and the Evergreen, and none of them, especially Roland Park, Madam President Claudia is here, and Mary Page, a lot of people were there, Mr. Melnick, none of them said no to us, and everybody excited. And also at the Caswick, Evergreen, none of all the attendees was such excited. At the Caswick, there were back and forth, good, positive vibe, but good discussion. We will go from that. That was the point. My concept of this restaurant is Indian in sound same. India is a vast country. They have a diverse culture, diverse food. South Indian, North Indian is like doing Italian or Japanese. That much difference, because it's totally different. So what I intend to do, people are fall in love with the yoga and the vegan food and the healthy food, and I wanted to have that because and that way. It's a great neighborhood, and it's going to fit and match it suits for the community. The one I have, Alonzo, it's a bar, but this is an upscale, beautiful dining. They should compliment, they should be happy about it. But I don't know, there is some people misrepresented what is my intention. They were asking a lot of people support their 2 o'clock. I never told about 2 o'clock. And then some people say, even there is, you are opening liquor store. A lot of people send the misinformation, get some of the opposition to me in this liquor board. And one thing is this, all I wanted to request from my heart, because Alonzo's operating hour now is Sunday through Thursday is 11 o'clock, Friday, Saturday, 12 o'clock. I really want to have a same hour so I can manage my employee, and it's going to protect each other, the business. It's even the community there, which is kind of very different. So that is my sincere hope. And the Indian cooking, some people do the South cooking and North cooking, and same people I can schedule. It's going to help me. And then if there is no market, I don't know, I want to test the market. If market is not there, I voluntarily reduce the hour.
Mr. Uppert, breathe for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I asked you to tell the board what other establishments' closing times are during the week and on the
Actually,
weekends.
we don't set closing times.
I understand.
As you know,
No,
so
no.
we don't need to do
Yes.
this.
No.
Same,
Let's-
the one I
move on.
asked for
Mr.
you.
Uppert, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Do you have anything further? We have
No.
all these people here. I don't know.
I do have, yeah, but I don't have anything further for Mr. Uppert at
Okay,
this time.
let's move along.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, I'm going to call Marie Patterson and Mr. Melnick. This is Marie Patterson, Patterson. Thank you, Ms. Patterson.
Of course, yep. Hi.
You are an appraiser.
Work with Jonathan.
All right, and
Appraiser,
you
yeah.
and your boss, Mr. Melnick, did an appraisal of 501 West Cold Spring, right?
Yes, we did.
Took photos, you looked at market comps, and you arrived at a valuation, isn't that right?
Correct.
And you found a total of $510,000 in improvements to the property, isn't that right?
That's correct.
In fact, you found $182,500 in food equipment alone, isn't that right?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that that the Melnick firm has exhibited or submitted probably over 1,000 appraisals before the liquor board in the past decades?
Probably.
Okay, we got to.
40 years.
One at a time, I'm sorry. But we'll make it quick. Probably 40 years, says Jonathan Melnick, whose name you might be able to spell. All right. Is there anything else you want to say regarding this appraisal?
Just that we agree it's going to be a very fine establishment. This isn't anything that's geared towards a bar or any of that sort. It's definitely going to be a fine dining establishment, and that was very clear when we did the valuation.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Patterson. I'll actually bring you in now, sir, Mr. Melnick. Now, Mr. Melnick, you actually live in the neighborhood, don't you?
I'm within walking distance, yes.
All right, and you frequented some of the establishments that Mr. Uprity has done over the years.
For many years, and it's consistently good, reliable. I couldn't imagine why someone wouldn't want to have a glass of wine with a vegan meal.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I just want to make it clear that it's an honor to be in front of you and to thank you for the 40 years. I know not everybody here has been that long,
Some of us have.
but,
Not at the liquor board.
but sincerely know how I appreciate your accepting the integrity of my reports. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, at this time, are you sure? Thank you. This is John Colson, applicant, co-applicant, and city resident. Mr. Colson, would you like to say why you put your name on this project?
Yes, I live in the neighborhood. I've lived in the neighborhood for almost 30 years and have frequented those establishments prior to them being owned by Binod. And I remember when Cold Spring Lane was frankly a dump, and Eddie Dobkin came along with Miss Shirley's and a few other things and fixed it up and changed it. And upon his passing and some turning over, Binod's done the same thing for this neighborhood. I was happy to put my name in with this. I am at his establishments a lot, and I don't want to see things go in the other direction.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Very briefly, very brief testimony. Anything else will be done way of proffer by a group. I'd like to hear from Mary Page, if she's available. Good morning, Ms. Page.
Were you sworn?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Mary Page Michael. I am on the board of the Roland Park Community Foundation. We're a local 501c3 that raises money for green space and improvements in our community. And Binod, when he first arrived in the community, reached out to us to ask us what he could do to support us. And he has provided food and funds for our community, and has been a very good citizen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, very briefly, Mr. Uprity has asked me to call Mr. Steve Banks. Thank you, Mr. Banks.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Banks. Were you sworn?
Yes, I was.
Spelled like it sounds?
Yes, with a V, not a PH. Stephen Banks. I'm a local business owner, and I also grew up in the neighborhood right off Cold Spring Lane. I frequented the business so much that I actually met Binod, became really close, and learned about his other businesses. I love this place, and hearing that they were bringing something new, vegan and South Indian, was very near and dear to my heart. And I'm just here to show support for him and this endeavor. So, yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, and then final witness will be Aline Stevenson. Anything else will be a group proffer. Thank you, Ms. Stevenson. Please spell your name for the record.
It's Elaine Stevens, S-T-E-V-E-N-S. And I'm the manager at Alonzo's, and I've been there for 4 years, and we never have any problems. Everything runs nice and smoothly, and Binod's been a great boss. I think he runs his business pretty well. So I think he
Do I
should.
know you from the Diz?
You do. Yes, you do. So I'm trying to make a little of the Diz at Alonzo's, Elaine's.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I will proffer that there are members of the community who are present who would testify in support of Mr. Uprity's character and the public need and desire for such an establishment.
And is there opposition?
I believe there is, yes.
Okay, well, let's get the,
Okay,
find out.
may I have the supporters raise their hands as
Sure.
proffer of their support?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You were sworn, right?
I was.
And your name, please?
Is Matthew Mulcahy. I'm the president of the Kedwick Improvement Association.
morning.
I have copies of what I'd like to read into the record.
Can you spell your last name?
Mulcahy.
Actually, you don't have to read this. We'll read it. Can you just tell us what it's about?
I can. I am speaking for all of the communities that are present here, so I would like to briefly
Well,
read it.
tell us who
in.
they are, okay.
It's Roland Park, Keswick, and Evergreen.
Okay.
I'm here to state our opposition. I will summarize this if you don't mind. I will read quickly. I'd like to address the specific, we do not believe that the applicants meet the requirements for license and ask that you not waive those requirements. I'd like to address the specific factors that the board uses in its evaluation. First, it is clear that the public, and specifically the residents, property owners, and taxpayers who live in the neighborhoods adjoining 501 Cold Spring do not need or desire a license at this property. I've submitted over 69 signatures from my neighborhood alone, and there's numerous emails from my neighborhood. We're only a neighborhood of about 100 houses, so there is overwhelmingly opposition to an unrestricted liquor license, which would allow him to open until 2 a.m. I have not misrepresented that, I believe. Is that correct? The license would allow him to operate till 2 a.m. without an MOU?
I believe that's with a Class
Yes.
B license.
Class B can operate from Monday to Sunday, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m.
So, exactly, without an MOU, it is a 2 a.m. license.
I'd object to that, because there's voluntary license restrictions, so an MOU is not the only avenue to limit hours.
Yeah, is that the main point of this?
It is.
Just-
It is, but I would also like to address, it is, and you'll see in the attachment that I sent you that there are, it is true that the two establishments that Mr. Upperty owns close at midnight on weekends. It is also true, if you look at the back, that most of the fine dining establishments in the Roland Park neighborhood, his are the only ones that are open that late. Petit Louis, Johnny's, the Ambassador Dining Room, La Cuchara, the Veranda in Hampton, Pappy's Tacos, which I just wouldn't call a fine dining establishment, but it's an excellent restaurant. These all close prior to 10 a.m. We are not
10
opposed,
a.m.?
excuse me, 10 p.m. We are not opposed to a liquor license per se, but we wanted limited hours. We already have 3, and I would address that again, if I may. There are already 3 other licenses in the span of about 100 feet. We did not want more, and it's too much in a small concentrated area. I would note that your third point is not perhaps relevant because 2 of those 3 licenses are owned by Mr. Upperty. He is in essence competing with himself, so there's limited impact on other license holders. I would suggest, and I do appreciate that there are regional distinctions in cuisine, but he is opening another Indian restaurant within about 50 feet of what he notes is Namaste offering, quote, authentic Indian food, along with the ability to get alcohol until midnight on weekends. We don't need another license in this area. I would suggest that a license with no restrictions, including restrictions on noise and things like that, will do nothing to improve the health and
When you
welfare.
keep talking about unrestricted licenses, all of our licenses are restricted by our rules
I am
and
not a lawyer,
regulations.
sir, I apologize, but without an MOU, we have MOUs for Alonzo's and Namaste that are, I think, have worked well.
And what are the issues in the MOU that he objects to?
He's specifically concerned about hours, I believe. He has lately offered some objections to other parts of the MOU, but those are parts that are basically copied from the Namaste and Alonzo MOU, so I believe this is mostly a debate about hours.
And the difference between midnight and 10 p.m.?
Excuse me. If I may finish, can
Can you answer my question?
I can. It may not seem like much, but it is.
No,
We
but is
live
that-
down the
is
street.
that the issue?
Yes. Although at this point, sir, we have become increasingly concerned about the nature of the relations with Mr. Upperty. He has not, we don't think, been completely forthright. For example, in the MOU we proposed on February 2nd, and you can get a timeline of how long this has been going on. We noted that there would be no bar at this new restaurant. He has said no opposition to that, as this is true at Namaste. There is no bar, just a small service bar. But the document that he submitted to you includes bar seating. He has never said to us that there would ever be a bar in this place, but he has submitted it to you now with a bar in it. And so this raises concerns for us, and we are at this point just opposing the license, all of the neighborhoods, because we feel like he has not been a good faith negotiator. He has been, he runs his restaurants well. I have no objection. I appreciate Elaine, who is here. She's very responsive to complaints about trash and noise. I appreciate that. But we don't need another license in this area. I would also just note that the signatures that he has submitted have come from anyone who has entered his restaurants, I believe. He was, as one of my neighbors wrote to you in one of the emails, he collected signatures from anyone who walked in. Whether those people fully understood the debate and the conditions is not clear to me. I don't know if it was clear to them. So I think all of the signatures on over 120 are from people in the 2120 area code, and I think that's important. You can read the rest of it, I suppose, and again, I would encourage you to look at the restaurants in the area. His are the only two in the greater Roland, that's not true, but you get into Hamden, it's a little bit different. But of lately, and certainly in the Roland Park District, his are the only ones that are open that late. As he noted, Alonzo's has been there since 1921, right? We're not, this is a new license. We don't need a fourth license in the span. We're excited to have the restaurant. He doesn't need the license to run the restaurant. He runs a restaurant in Baltimore County without a liquor license, I believe. I don't think he's doing a lot of liquor sales at Namaste. That's my impression. That's what he told us in some meetings. And I would call, if I may, I have a few people who may be able to add to some of this.
Okay, so I'm confused. If he's not doing a lot of liquor sales, what's the issue?
We are concerned that once you issue a license, it's very hard to get rid of that license. Once it's in place, it can be transferred. If his business were to fail, it can be transferred to someone else.
Only to someone who qualifies.
Only as someone who qualifies, but my understanding is that that can be a relatively, I was watching some of your videos, it's a kind of a narrow window for transfers, and we're concerned, once a license is in place, it changes the character of the neighborhood. We already have 3. We're excited about a restaurant. It's been a coffee shop for 30 years or so, I believe. It's fundamentally changing the character of the neighborhood, and we're concerned about that as residents and taxpayers.
I have a question. So if he agreed to the hour restriction, you would be okay with that? Or you, because at first it sounded like it was an hour thing, now you're saying you oppose the license.
We proposed a 10 p.m. closing time, and we were willing to negotiate. We tried for almost a year to do that. At this point, I think people are a little bit cynical and are concerned about it, and at this point, because he has rejected that offer, we're opposing the license.
Okay.
May I call, I would like to note, I have a few other.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
but
thank you.
briefly, please.
Okay, you understand that nobody has to sign a petition in support when they walk into his restaurant, right?
I do understand that, but are they aware that the community is opposing, and are they aware of exactly what they're signing?
Why is that
And
important?
are they residents of the neighborhood? Are they Uber drivers? Are they Grubhub drivers?
So the folks in the community association who go to the meetings, they're more important than the other neighbors who live in the neighborhood but might not join the association?
When Mr. Upperty produced his initial application for Namaste in 2016, 17, whatever it was, there's a number of residents who signed that petition, and I have the zip codes, or excuse me, the area codes, who live in White Marsh, in Dundalk, in Towson. I don't know how big we want to describe the public, but there's lots of people who don't even live in the city who are signing the petition. So I don't know how you're going to define the public, but in terms of the residents and taxpayers of the general area around, I'm happy if he wants to open the restaurant in your neighborhood, I'll sign his petition too.
Yeah, in my
But we
neighborhood,
are,
it's 2 a.m.
we are,
Every one of them.
we are
Okay,
the
gentlemen,
residents.
we've got to move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
May I bring other people to the podium,
Yeah,
please?
do they have something additional to add? Or you just want to say that they're others in support?
Finwell, but my 2 residents who are the closest, would you like to say anything? Please.
Mr. Chair, so if they would have went along with the 10 o'clock, they would have supported the liquor license.
I don't know, it's
Well,
not clear.
We don't know.
Matt,
Okay.
I'll address that.
You were sworn, sir?
Yes, I was.
And your
Finn
name?
Lepsky, I'm president of the Evergreen Community Association.
Can you spell your last name?
L-E-P as in Paul, S as in Sam, K-I. We entered into into a negotiation over a year ago. We became aware of this. This year has passed without any progress whatsoever. In fact, it's gone backwards. Mr. Ipretti was apprised that if he applied for this license without an MOU, there would be no going back. During this negotiation process, while we were at one time willing to support this restaurant with a 10 o'clock closing time, we are no longer willing to do that because of the manner in which he has conducted himself during this negotiation. Part of that includes his continued statements regarding the success of the restaurant, which, as you just noted, he's very uncertain. He owns, I believe, 3 shuttered properties right now. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but the Hamilton, no, it's not an objection, it's Hamilton
He can
Tavern.
object if he likes.
You can object. Are you, is this a,
All right,
okay.
go ahead, yeah.
Right now, for, I believe, 2 years, he's owned the Hamilton Tavern, which he's talked about turning into an Indian restaurant. It's a shuttered business. The laundromat, which was next door to Namaste, which he has talked about for a year, expanding into an Indian restaurant. It is shuttered. It is ugly. It is a blight. The coffee shop is now a year. It is papered over. It is a blight. Nothing is stopping him from opening a restaurant without a liquor license. He has made it clear that he does not know whether or not this restaurant will be successful. I would point out that Namaste, his fine dining establishment, which Mr. Fogelman described as being very successful, during negotiations, Mr. Repretti let us know that the bulk of his sales are carryout. This is a carry-out establishment. Am I incorrect, sir?
I'll get you on cross-examination, Mr.
You'll have to cross-examine Mr. Repretti because those statements are from him. That is also in violation of the MOU which he has signed with our community, stating that there would be no more than 25% carry-out sales. There are other violations of the...
Because these,
Nobody's ever brought a violation to the board, so.
It's not a violation that we would need to bring to your board. It's a violation of the MOU,
Well,
not...
If the MOU is on his license, it comes to us.
Then consider that a violation has been noted for purposes of this
That's
hearing.
not the way it's done, but go ahead.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question just because I'm,
Yeah.
Thank you. When you're talking about carryout sales, are you talking about carryout sales for food or for alcohol?
For food.
Okay, because just for the record, a multiple Class B can not sell for off premises, so the way the law is written. I thought I was confused.
And I would point out that there was alcohol sold out of that business, which we were
Well, the first
aware
one,
of,
the
but-
first one you can, but this,
out of-
should this one be approved, it would be
Out
for
of
on-premises
Namaste.
consumption. Well, I'm saying the instant matter before the board, just so everyone's clear, the way 1609 is written, a license that's issued for an additional Class B license is for on-premises consumption only. He cannot sell off-premises consumption. I thought that that's what we were talking about. I apologize
No,
for
right now, we're
interrupting.
just talking about the fact that the MOU has been violated, and we simply do not, and this is something that came up during negotiation. It wasn't something that we've known about for a very long time. It was something that he admitted to us. So during the negotiation, it's one thing to say, okay, we can overlook that, but I want the board to note that he has not been faithful to his agreements with the community.
Do you have questions?
yes, thank you. Okay, Judge Matriciani, Mr. Chairman asked you, what's the difference between 10 and midnight?
2 hours.
Okay, and I'll ask you, what's the difference between 10 p.m. closing and an 11 p.m. closing?
1 hour.
All right, and without carryout, how is there going to be any disturbances from 10 to 11?
I'm sorry, what are you suggesting that this liquor license regards disturbances? I'm not sure what you're,
Well, no, then I'll bring you back to, what part of closing earlier than later?
we are
protects
objecting,
the
we're not,
community?
we're objecting to a liquor license at all based on Mr. Repretti's behavior and his failure to deal in good faith with the communities. His failure after reaching out to him every single month for 6 months to fail to reach an agreement with us. A failure, Mr. Fogelman, for you to reach out when I reached out to you to meet in the period of time before we had this hearing. Let us also note that you asked for a delay of the hearing for what was supposed to be a negotiation period, but you refused to negotiate. All you did was take that time.
I've got a lot of people here for
Okay, that's
12
fine.
more hearings.
I
so-
I would like to make one other point, and then I'll leave it.
Okay.
Okay, 2.02C is the criteria used by the board to disapprove an application. This requires that you refuse the application if the granting of the license is not necessary for the accommodation of the public. The public can be accommodated 50 feet away in an Indian restaurant with a liquor license. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is that everything?
Yes, except, well, let's hear from them.
We have Councilwoman Ramos here who would like to.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you. Come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My apologies for being late. I was,
Can you state your name?
yes, my name is Odette Ramos.
I think she has to be sworn, doesn't she?
Were you sworn?
I have not been sworn
Okay.
this
Would
morning.
you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning. My apologies for being late. Outside in a press conference. It's very hot outside. I am submitting my letter for the record of opposition to the liquor license. It's very important to the residents that there be good faith negotiating, and it's very clear that that hasn't happened. And also, I have to say, even though that that block of houses is, or excuse me, businesses is close to Loyola, this is not a college town area. This is a very residential area, and so it's very important to have businesses that are going to be conscious of the fact that it's a residential area. So if the point of contention is about hours, let's try to work that out. And I'd be happy to try to bring the parties together, but I do oppose the license. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Ramos, are you
Councilwoman?
aware?
Councilwoman.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman. Yes. Are you aware of the closing hours of the other establishments in that stretch of area?
My understanding is that they're earlier than, what is,
Earlier than 2 a.m.?
that's correct.
Right, but not earlier than midnight, right?
I think that as long as the MOUs are in place, they have to stick with the MOUs. There is no MOU right now in place for this particular liquor license, and that's what needs to be done.
Right, but you didn't answer my question, did you?
That's okay.
But
I'm
you
just going to
didn't
tell
answer-
you
my
that
question is,
we
do
need
you
to stick with the
know-
MOU, that those MOUs.
Let's not argue,
Strike is not
folks.
responsive.
Let's-
Thank you.
Let's not argue.
Thank you.
So,
I have nothing further, but I do object to the admission of the letter, which was sent to the liquor board at 9:02 a.m. this morning, giving absolutely no notice.
well, have you received a copy now?
Yes, the liquor board was kind enough to send it to me at 9:30, 9:15
Yeah,
a.m.
we'll receive it. Okay, anything further?
Nothing further. She's the witness. So.
Commissioners, questions?
No questions.
I have it here? Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We'll receive it, okay.
Thank you, Councilman.
Anything further from you?
Yes, absolutely. The final
Let's
issue
wrap
here
it up, because we
is
got-
Mr. Uprity for rebuttal.
All right, well, let's
And
make
it's
it quick.
very simple, and I will.
Got a lot of cases to get to.
Thank you. Mr. Uprity, this really came down to hours, and this is
Pretty
blown
obvious.
up. And now
Did
it's
you
all blown
involve
up.
Matt at all in these negotiations?
I don't know. Mr. Uprity met with 3 different associations over months of time.
Objection.
No,
You don't know
no,
whether
no,
you
no.
were- I'm sorry. I would
He's-
like to object to
do we-
you not knowing.
Perhaps
whether
you
were
should
involved.
stand up then, sir.
Of course. Mr. Fogelman, do you not know whether you were involved in the negotiations?
Yeah, I'm not answering his
Yeah, sir,
question.
sit down.
I'm sorry.
Sit down,
He doesn't
sit down,
understand
sit
how
down,
it works.
sit down, sit down, sit down. Sit down. I don't know who you think is running this operation, but I am.
I was just curious why he was able to object, and I was not.
Enough. Yeah, the attitude's nice, but it's not really helpful.
Thank you. I just want to make this really quick. Mr. Uprity is willing to voluntarily restrict the license to closing at 11 p.m. Sunday through
I understand, they
Thursday.
didn't agree, and he didn't agree.
But he's willing to put that on the license, and that's as binding as any MOU.
I understand the point. They don't want it. He wants it, we don't set times.
Right, not just him, but a couple hundred people on a petition, a couple dozen people who are here today. And given his track record as a successful restaurateur, I believe the community's been a little unreasonable at this point.
Okay, I heard you.
Thank you.
Commissioners have questions?
I have no questions.
Any questions?
Have you addressed one question, the minimum seat capacity? Did you want to say anything else on that?
Yes, capacity was 80 to 85. I mean, I'll check there's a question for that on the first page of the app, and I'll take a look at it.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's the only waiver we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
88. Thank you.
Look, here's my view of this thing. It would be helpful if there were an MOU in place. I don't know if Matt's been involved in negotiations. It sounds like negotiations have broken down and it seems to come down to the hours. They're talking about whether the business is going to be successful or not. That's not their concern. It's his concern. They're talking about whether the area needs it. He's run other businesses there. We have never had a single complaint or violation come before the board for any of the businesses that he operates. It sounds like it's an hour issue. I don't know why it's hung up, if it's 1 hour difference or what. But if I approve it, I want the negotiations to continue, and I want Matt to get involved, and I want to see if they can't resolve it. And whether they resolve the hours or not, I'd like to see him put an MOU in place and make it part of the license for this establishment, covering all the other issues that are covered by his other establishments. Because, and I will say to you, sir, I didn't mean to be rude to you, but if they violate an MOU that's made part of their license, it can be brought to the board in its proper fashion as a violation, and we can hear it. Okay? But no one's ever done that, so I can't fault him for things that have never been brought to our attention. Having said all that, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the testimony received, the exhibits received, I understand there are questions about the validity of some of the signatures and whatever. I'm not going to go through them one by one. I vote to approve this application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service, subject to the conditions that I just stated. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You would also need to formally vote on the waivers.
Yeah, I'll approve the waiver on the seating capacity.
And capital investment wasn't needed, right? Okay.
No, I think they exceeded it.
They exceeded it.
Okay, Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on materials and proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve with the waivers, the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license, and also the request for outdoor table service.
Based on the application materials, the testimony provided today, the exhibits that were admitted, proffer made by counsel, and the signatures submitted on the petitions, I too vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service, and I also will give the waiver for the seating capacity, and it's also subject to the conditions that the chair has made on record.
Did you want to say something?
I have one quick question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the conditions that you're putting on it, I understand. Is there a time frame that you'd like to see the MOU in place
As
if
soon
it
as
happens?
possible, but obviously reasonable times. I mean, they say they've been negotiating for a year over this 1 hour. So yes, if it can be done in 30 days or something, that would be nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. And I
Thank
just
you.
want to clarify, it's an MOU, and both sides have to agree on the terms
I
for an
understand.
MOU to be executed.
I would,
Right.
yeah, I mean, but it sounds like there are many terms that aren't in dispute.
I agree.
So if you can put an MOU in place on all those terms, okay?
Thank you so much.
And just for clarification for everyone here, the General Assembly in Annapolis sets the times on our licenses. We do not. So if you have an objection to the Class B license hours, go to Annapolis and tell them about it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I approach?
Yes.
briefly?
Yeah.
I'm Claudia Diamond. I'm the president of the Roland Park Civic League. Our neighborhood represents 1,000 homes, and we have unanimously agreed to support Keswick and
Why are you
Evergreen.
different from the Roland Park Community Association?
So the foundation is different than the Civic League, and
Okay.
Mary Page testified about what a good neighbor Mr. Upperdy has been, and we don't disagree. I think everything's been stated here regarding the opposition. What I'm concerned about is I have to go back to my neighbors now and say that we, after a year of trying to negotiate with Mr. Upperdy, and I've been in these meetings, will now have to say that we are going to try again for MOU. I would like, a reasonable time to do that, but I'd also like reassurance from the board that I can take back to my neighbors to say that if we're unable to reach a negotiation over these 2-hour window of closing.
I didn't say he had to reach an agreement over
that-
the hours. I would like it, but he doesn't. He has to abide by the law on the hours, but he can reach an MOU on everything else. I would like him to try to resolve. It sounds like they're only an hour apart.
2 hours, but I guess what I'm, then
He
I need
offered
to.
11
I-
o'clock today.
Yes, Mr. Triciani, do I need to go back to my neighbors then and say that as of today, we have a 2 a.m. liquor license approved, even though the neighborhood might come back with some conditions that that's done?
Well,
Or can we negotiate a 10 o'clock closing time and have that honored by this board?
I don't know where you've been. He said he's going to close at 12. You all want him to close at 10. He offered that he would suggest 11. Nobody talked about 2 a.m. But if he wanted to stay open until 2 a.m., I can't close him for that. You've got to go to Annapolis about that.
Okay, so again, my question to you, last question is, as of today, do I need to go back and tell my neighbors that a 2 a.m. liquor license has been approved by this board and that
What do you want me to
in the
say?
end?
I speak English.
I think the answer is
It's a 2
you're saying
a.m.
yes.
license
Yep.
under the law. He said he's closing at midnight. Okay?
All right, so, all right, may we have a 30-day window to try to reach a MOU? And if that's not reached, then the neighborhoods might have to think about appealing this
Chair's
decision.
discussed this already.
Yes. You can appeal this decision tomorrow.
I know we
Okay.
can't, but we want to be in good faith and negotiate. So we'll,
As I said to the
at 30 days, I think is a
councilwoman, I'd like to see it done in 30 days. yes.
30 days. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, 18 letters of opposition. Board Exhibit 2, letter of opposition from Keswick, Roland Park, Civic League, Evergreen. 3, petition in opposition. 4, petition in support. 5, menu. 6, letter of opposition from Councilwoman Ramos.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Let's move
Mr.
to
Fogelman.
the next case.
That concludes this matter before the board. Counsel for the applicant has received instructions on how to obtain the license. The board has preliminarily approved today. Shall we move to the next matter, Mr. Chairman? Item number 2 on today's docket has been withdrawn by the applicant and will exist no further. That moves us to item number 3 on today's docket. 2900 O'Donnell Street, LLC, trading as Zenden. Premises are located at 2900 to 2902 O'Donnell Street. And this is an amended application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service. And the applicant is requesting off-premises catering.
Good morning. Still morning. Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by my colleague Drew Tilden, as well as our 2 individual licensee applicants, Mr. McGlory and Mr. Watson.
Good morning. Are they going to be testifying?
With your permission, I'd like to proceed by way of a proffer.
Go ahead, please.
In light of the length of the docket, I think I can move through this relatively quickly. This application should look familiar to the board. This is an amended transfer application for the restaurant that was formerly known as Looney's on O'Donnell Square in Canton. Last September, the board approved the transfer of ownership to the new owner-operator of the restaurant. And we began construction to try to do some renovations in the space. We're constructing a new second-floor balcony. The board approved a hardship extension of the original transfer application in April, but unfortunately, the construction is taking longer than we had anticipated. So what you have before you is an amended transfer application. We've modified the individual licensees. We've added Mr. Watson as an additional licensee. But otherwise, the operations are the same as what was originally proposed by the applicant in the original transfer application. We have changed the trade name of the restaurant. Originally, it was going to be called Zenden. Now it's going to operate as the Worthington, which is going to be an American sports bar. We don't have a concept menu yet, but we're working on it. As I mentioned, the construction is underway to construct a second-floor balcony, which we think will be really nice. It's very similar to what operates across the street at Speakeasy. The file that Ms. Tilden handed out has a couple of exhibits with some images and some renderings of the proposed balcony. There should also be a letter of support from the Canton Community Association in your file. I'm happy to go through the details of it, but as I said, all of it is the same as what was originally approved by the board last September.
So it's just that they were running out of time to complete the transaction?
Exactly.
Let me ask a quick question. I found myself in Harford County recently, and I saw a Looney's Pub. Is that
I think it is the same
operation?
operators as, it's not our team here, but the seller of Looney's to us also operated the Looney's
Oh,
up
so,
there.
okay, they didn't move after they had one?
No, they had one already. They had a second location.
Okay, commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the amended application, the proffer from council and the exhibits received, I vote to approve the amended application to transfer this Class BG7 beer, wine, and liquor license with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premises catering. Commissioners?
Yes, based on the materials and exhibits and proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve, also with the support from the Canton Community Association, I also vote to approve the amended application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service, and also the request for off-premise catering.
With the statements proffered by counsel, the amended application, the exhibits that have been admitted also, I too vote to approve the amended application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service, requesting off-premises catering.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Canton Community Association. Board Exhibit 2, hearing outline.
Thank you. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicants have received instructions on how to legally complete the transfer that the board has preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 4 on today's docket, 2908 O'Donnell Street, LLC, trading as trade name pending. Premises are located at 2908 O'Donnell Street, and this is an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Good morning again. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg. On behalf of the applicant, I'm joined by my colleague Drew Tilden, as well as our individual licensee applicant, Michelle Barnes.
You want to proffer?
Yes, please. This is an application to transfer ownership of the BD7 license. It's actually located like 2 doors down from the one we just did. This is Cowboy Row on O'Donnell Square in Canton. This restaurant recently sold, and the application obviously is to transfer ownership to the new entity. We're going to continue operating as Cowboy Row for the immediate future. It was formerly Plug Uglies for a long time, and it had more recently Cowboy Row before the new acquisition. There's a copy of the menu and the floor plan in the file. They'll have outdoor seating along O'Donnell Street like many of the other restaurants on the square there. They'll operate Sunday through Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. They do offer live entertainment roughly twice a week, consisting of small bands and DJs. They do require that all of their managers be tip certified. They require staff to check ID for patrons who are under 30 years of age or appear to be under 30 years of age. And after 10 p.m., they don't let anyone into the restaurant who is under 21 years old. Ms. Barnes is our individual licensee applicant. She is the manager at El Buffalo, which is across the square in Canton. She's been the manager there for 5 years, and she will be the manager of the new restaurant here. She is tip certified. She's familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board, and she's a Baltimore City resident. We believe there is a public need and desire for the license. Again, this has been operating as Cowboy Row for several years. There is a letter of support from the Canton Community Association in the file for this one as well. We don't expect there to be an impact on the number of existing licenses in the area, or the effect on existing licensees, because again, this has been an existing license that's been there for a number of years. They do offer a uniqueness of services. They have a sort of barbecue menu that's different than the other restaurants that are on the square. We don't believe there's going to be any negative impact on public health, safety, or general welfare either. Again, there is a letter of support from the Canton Community Association. Happy to answer any questions. I know I ran through that quickly, but I know you have a long docket.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. I'll note that I don't think we had any violations at this location previously, and we appreciate the letter of support from the Community Association. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffer from council, the exhibits received, and for the reasons I just mentioned, I vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Yes, based on the materials and proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Based on the application materials, the proffer made by council and exhibits entered today, I too vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with the continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Ms. Russell?
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, letter of support from Canton Community Association. Board Exhibit number 2, hearing outline.
Thank you.
very
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council has received instructions on how to legally complete the transfer of ownership, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's preliminary approval by the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Item number 5 on today's docket, K&K Group LLC, trading as Everest Spice Bar and Grill. Premises are located at 1640 Alisana Street. This is an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, Bikash Thapa. This will be a little more brief hearing than my last one.
Let's hope.
A
You
lot
gonna
more.
proffer?
Yes, I will. Mr. Thapa, standing next to me, is a former licensee, having been vetted by this agency. He was the licensee at Broadway Discount Liquor, 628 South Broadway, from 2018 to 2023. He got off that license in order to pursue a dream, which was Everest Spice, which is a restaurant in Broadway Market at 1640 Alisana Street. Used to be the Something Tiger, I don't know why I can't think of it right now. Mr. Philip Hahn ran it. It's a great little restaurant. He's open under a management agreement already. I've eaten there twice. The food's great. More importantly, he signed an MOU with the Fells Point Residents Association, so hopefully we can conclude this hearing in a somewhat summary manner. Thank you.
Is he willing to have the terms of the MOU be on his license?
Yes, he is, Your Honor. And you understand that the terms of the MOU become a part of your license?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thumb.
Anything further?
Not at all. Thank you so much.
Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Based on the materials contained in the application, and having received this letter of support from the MOU between the licensee applicant and the Fells Point Residents Association, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with continued outdoor table service, subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent they're enforceable by law.
Yes, based on materials that proffer from the attorney, and also subject to from the MOU being part of the license. I also vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of the B beer, wine, and liquor license with the continuation of outdoor table service.
Based on the application materials, testimony for the proffer made by counsel and the exhibits entered, and subject to the MOU that was just handed to us to the extent enforceable by law, to vote to approve this application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, MOU between Fells Point Resident Association and the applicant.
Okay. There was a sale to a minor back in 2019, so be careful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
You may. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council received instructions on how to legally complete this transfer of ownership, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's preliminary approval by the board. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 6 on today's docket, the Dara of Baltimore LLC, trading as the Dara. Premises are located at 906 South Wolf Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and an application to transfer ownership requesting outdoor table service, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverage.
And once again, good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner. Steve Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Wang Chili.
Will you proffer this?
I will indeed. Mr. Wang Chili, I don't know which one I want to give you more first, either the menu or the letter of support from the Fells Point Residents Association.
You can give us both. They'll be received.
Thank you. We're excited about Mr. Wang Chili and his partner who have extensive experience in Thai restaurants, Bodhi Corner on Chestnut Avenue. He served as the manager, also worked at Kunine Thai at 804 North Charles Street as the manager, and then one of my favorites that I believe closed, Stang of Siam at 1301 North Calvert Street. So he's got a heck of a pedigree for Thai food in Baltimore. Let me give you that letter of support from Kate Sims, president of the Fells Point Residents Association.
You'll be received.
Thank you.
So he's met with FIPRA, and they are excited to have a new use in that space, formerly the Red Star. So I'd ask for your consideration and approval of this request of transfer of ownership only. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, is he tip certified?
I don't know for certain, but I know that he will be going to get tip certified before he's able to pick up the license.
And those who will be handling alcohol will also be?
Yes, he understands that everybody's got to be trained in alcohol management, all of his servers.
Okay. Well, based on the materials contained in the application, the proffer from council, the letter of support from the Fells Point Residents Association, and the other evidence received, I vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with outdoor table service, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioner?
Yes, based on the materials that proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of the B beer, wine, and liquor license, and also requesting outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Based on the application materials, a proffer made by council, the letter of support that was submitted today, I too vote to approve the application to transfer ownership, requesting outdoor table service and off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
This has no prior violations, so keep it that way.
That's right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Russell?
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, letter of support from Fellows Point Residents Association, and Board Exhibit 2, menu.
All right, Mr. Blendy?
That concludes this matter before the board. Council has received instructions on how to legally complete the transfer of ownership that the board preliminary approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Item number 7 on today's docket has been postponed and will be heard at a future hearing of the board, bringing us to item number 8 of today's docket, OW 1400 LLC, trading as Octobar. Proposed premises are located at 1400 Light Street. This is an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service, a request for off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Is anyone here on this case? Good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Rivera?
Yes,
Would you
Walter
raise your
Rivera.
right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Want to tell us about this application?
Yeah, Lucatelli, actually, he was helping me out, but he just went to the liquor board to pick up some documents. So I guess, because he was assuming it was going to be number 8 case.
Do you want us to hold this and call it later? Give him a chance to get back?
Yeah, that's fine, so he can get back.
Okay,
Right,
let's,
thank you.
let's continue this and take the next case.
This matter will be continued to a later point in the docket, per the chair's order. Moves us to item number 9 on today's docket. Prosana LLC, trading as Tutti Gusti. Premises are located at 3100 Fate Avenue. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license and an application to transfer ownership requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of applicant Sajit Singh Thapa.
You going to proffer this?
I sure do. This is an old pizza parlor at 3100 Faith that served Canton residents for many years. I believe it was there when I moved 25 years ago. Giovanni, it was Giovanni's Tutti Gusti. He finally retired and sold the business. Since then, the applicants have been operating under a management agreement. I would say 95% of their sales is food. They don't have a bar. It's a very small, one-floor pizza shop with maybe 30 seats tops in there, 25, 30 seats. Yeah, and it's they have great Hampstead Hill Academy nights. My daughter's alma mater over there on Eastern and Lakewood, where they give 10% of the gross back to the PTO. They're wonderful. They continue to do those charitable things, and we'd ask for approval.
So those who are going to handle alcohol will be certified?
Absolutely, as will Mr. Thapa.
And he'll be aware of our rules and regulations?
Absolutely.
Okay. There are no violations, so maintain that record. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
I have no questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffer from council, and the proffer from council, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class D beer, wine, and liquor license with delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioners?
Yes, based on materials and proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of the D beer, wine, and liquor license, and also the request for delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Based on the application materials and the proffer made by council, I too vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class D beer, wine, and liquor license with delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
I thank you. Good luck, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council has received instructions on how to legally complete the transfer of ownership, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's preliminary approval by the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Do you want to call the case that we just continued, since I think Mr. Catelli's here?
Yeah, sure.
Recalling case number 8, OW 1400 LLC, trading as Octobar. Premises are located at 1400 Street. This is an application to transfer ownership with the continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service. Request for off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
I think you were sworn previously, right?
Correct, correct.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
William Bauer, B as in boy, A-U-E-R, also known as Lou Catelli, C-A-T-E-L-L-I.
You're not in Ocean City?
I'll be in Italy next 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks left. I'm going to Italy for a couple months.
Where in Italy?
Go fly to Rome, go meet Mr. Mel down in Sicily for a bit, then end up in Milan for a bit.
Going to Taormina?
Not sure, wherever he takes me, wherever he's paying for.
Okay, you want to tell us about this place?
I'm going to choose Mr. Walter Rivera.
So the place is actually operating. It's been open for like 17 years. We just taken over. We have no issues with the community. The menu's been running fine.
Have you been certified as with the
Yes,
alcohol?
certified
And
for
are you going to
everything.
be the one handling the alcohol?
No, we have bartenders and we have other people in the
Will
establishment.
they also take the
Yes, they all
training?
take the training.
And be aware of our rules, especially sales to minors?
Of course,
Okay.
everybody checks IDs, yeah.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions,
All right,
sir.
you have no violations at this location, so keep up the good work. all
Thank
right?
you. We appreciate it.
On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, any testimony received, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with continued live entertainment, outdoor table service, off-premises catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioners?
Yes, based on the materials and testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of the B beer, wine, and liquor license with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service, and also the request of off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you.
Based on the application materials and the statement made today, I too vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with the continuation of live entertainment, outdoor table service with off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, good luck, sir.
See you in a couple
That-
months. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board.
Bella vita.
Applicant has received instructions on how to legally complete the transfer of ownership that the board preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 10 on today's docket, 1747 Belt Corporation, trading as Park Bench. Premises are located at 1747 to 49 Belt Street. This is a request for a 180-day hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202 of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Ms. Fogel, we have your letter. What's the reason for the extension?
Reason for the extension was a need to continue to market the property. There was a applicant, or not an applicant, but a proposed applicant who came in and caused a disturbance to the community. The board, the current license holder at that time actually placed the license on deposit with the liquor board so that there would be no disturbances to the neighborhood. They asked for a hardship extension, which is what we've done here. And then during the pendency of the approval of that hardship extension, an application for transfer to a new applicant was filed. So
And you're asking for 180 days?
from that date, yes.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
I have no questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the letter of October 18, 2022 from Mr. Fogelman and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension for this license. Commissioners?
Yes, based on the materials and letter from the attorney and the proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve the request for a hardship extension of 180 days.
Based on the October 18th, 2022 letter from council, I too vote to approve this request for a hardship extension of 180 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 11 on today's docket, Sahani Incorporated, trading as One Stop Shop Liquor. Premises are located at 4905 Frankfurt Avenue, holders of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 180-day hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202.
Good morning, sir. Your name, please?
My name is Neem Sahani.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Sahani, you wrote a letter in August 14th requesting this extension. How long of an extension are you asking?
180 days.
180 days? And what's the reason?
It's caught in a fire.
I'm sorry.
A student caught in a fire.
Oh, there was a fire? And what's the plan for it? Is it going to reopen?
Yeah, we're gonna reopen. So that's so landlord they apply the permit for the fix the building. So I think it
Has
is,
any of the work begun yet?
they just apply. So it will take time to get the permit first in. Contractor is ready to fix it, but so we have to wait the permit.
Okay.
From the
Commissioners have any questions?
So, yeah, Mr. Chair, with the letter, it says here the landlord's insurance has been delaying the payments. So has the payments been coming in now, or is there from the
Payment.
insurance company to the landlord?
Yeah, that's the. I mean, they deal with their insurance company. There is a two insurance company. So one is my insurance company. So they already paid me. So that's the other one is a building insurance. It's under landlord.
Okay.
I have no question.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of Mr. Sahani's letter of August 14 to the board and his testimony this morning, I vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension for this license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the materials and letter from the licensee, I also vote to approve the request for hardship extension of 180 days.
Based on testimony given today and the letter that was submitted on August 14th, I too vote to approve the hardship extension of 180 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, good luck, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Item number 12 on today's docket, Orion LLC, trading as Orion's Pub. Premises are located at 53 to 55 South Crescent Street. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
So you're asking for 90 days, Mr. Fogelman, because you're having tax issues?
Yes, in fact, I believe those tax issues have been resolved. I believe we got an email back from India Richards at the state like 2 days after this 180 days had run. So we're not able to get the license until this hardship or this transfer extension is granted. So we thank you.
Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, on the basis then of Mr. Fogelman's letter to the board of June 6, 2023, and his testimony or proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day hardship extension for this Class BD7 license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the materials, a letter from the attorney and his testimony, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based on council's letter of June 6th and the proffer made by council today, I also vote to approve this 90-day hardship extension.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
You've got the next one.
That concludes this matter before the board. Calling the next case, item number 13 on today's docket, Mike's Jim Dandies LLC, trading as Mike's Jim Dandies. Premises are located at 4810 Curtis Avenue. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. And this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Articles 12-1705B.
Same story, Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, same story with less progress, unfortunately. He still has several inspections to go. It is possible that he's going to have to refile. This place continues to remain open. It is old. I think the former councilman and vice president might remember this address. It is old, and it definitely needs some work to get through inspections. So, like I say, no problem. The place continues to be operational, but he's going to need every bit of the time that he's requested here, so I thank you.
Okay, commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
I have no questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of Mr. Fogelman's letter to the board of June 12 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class BD7 license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the materials and letter from the attorney, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based on the proffer made by council and the letter that was submitted June 12th, I also vote to approve this 90-day hardship extension of this Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter. Moving forward, item number 14 on today's docket, Hunan Sung Incorporated, trading as Hurling's Grocery Basket. Premises are located at 115 to 17 North Utah Street. Holders of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
You lost your client?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Steve Fogelman, on behalf of the requester of the licensee. I think I know what public defenders feel like now. So, all right.
Do you want to go forward?
I do. I wrote the letter. The situation still hasn't changed. It's folks who moved from Lexington Market across the street. It's a grocery store with a liquor license. They also are continuing to do inspections. They renovated that building quite a bit since it was held another liquor license back in the day. And again, an old building, and they do need more time. So I would rest on that, and thank you.
Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
On the basis then of Mr. Fogelman's letter to the board of July 13 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the materials, a letter from the attorney and his proffer, I also vote to approve the request for transfer extension of 90 days.
Based on council's proffer and his July 13th letter, I also vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter. Moving forward, calling item number 15 on today's docket, Sedano Family LLC, trading as Germanos. Premises are located at 300 South High Street. Holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
Thank you, Stephen W. Fogelman. On behalf of applicant Ben Sudano Jr., who is not here, able to be here today, he's running his produce business. I put this in because I went to visit the establishment to see how it was going, and he was tearing out the floors. And once again, we have an older Little Italy property. People want to make these restaurants nice when they're open. They don't want to just grab the liquor license, shut down for 4 months and do work. And that takes time, though, and he will need at least another 2 to 3 weeks to finish the transfer. Thank you.
Okay. You know whatever happened to Germano?
I do. I don't want to misstate, but I believe that the daughter moved to Italy, possibly. Yeah, she was an attorney.
Maybe. I think his wife was.
They may have moved to Italy.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No question.
No question.
All right, thank you. On the basis of Mr. Fogelman's letter to the board of July 11 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the materials and letter from the attorney and the proffer, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based on council's July 11th letter and proffer made today, I also vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension.
No exhibits for the record.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Moving forward, calling item number 16 on today's docket, LL Pro Hospitality Baltimore LLC, trading as the Revival at Mount Vernon Place. Premises are located at 612 Cathedral Street. Holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license. And this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the applicants. This is a request. We've been having some problems getting fingerprints for Ms. Hiltz, who lives in Colorado. I don't know whether they lost them or what CJIS did with them, so we have to go reapply and have them sent in. The other applicant has been approved.
Is this a 90 or 180-day request?
90.
Okay.
90.
Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of Mr. Kudensky's letter to the board of August 14 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, hotel motel license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on materials and letter sent from the attorney and the proffer, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days for B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license.
Based on the proffer made by council and the letter that was submitted August 14th, I too vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Moving forward then, item number 17 on the regular docket, 1415 Washington LLC, trading as trade name pending. Premises are located at 1415 Washington Boulevard. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. And this is another request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Harry Previs on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning.
This is a 90-day request. Mr. Aaron ordered all of his kitchen appliances and equipment, and they have not arrived yet. He's expecting them to arrive by next week. But since he doesn't have those appliances, he can't pass the health inspection, so that's holding him up.
Okay, and I'm sorry, we got a letter from Pigtown Main Street. Is this in support of this?
I believe that's in support of,
of the extension?
Yeah.
Well, that's good work.
Kim Lane, yeah.
You have questions?
No questions.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of Mr. Previs's letter to the board of July 28 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class BG7 license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on materials, a letter sent from the attorney and proffer, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of a BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, 90 days.
Based on council's proffer today and the letter that was submitted on July 28th, I also vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension of this Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Good luck to you.
Ms. Russell?
Thank
No exhibits for the record. Board exhibit number 1, letter of support from Pigtown Main Street.
Thank you. Good luck, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Item number 18 on today's docket, Palace Roadie Shop and Bar LLC, trading as trade name pending. Premises are located at 2031 East Fairmount Avenue, holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. And this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
Mr. Hurdle?
Abraham Hurdle, on behalf of Palin's Roadie Shop and Bar LLC. My client couldn't be here with me today. At the moment, he is still working for his federal government job, and he's been assigned overseas for the time being, just very briefly. I did speak to an agent of his yesterday and said that they confirmed this. They do still need the extension. They're struggling to get some permits, and as Mr. Fogelman had indicated, and is kind of commonly the case, whenever someone kind of breaks open a wall or lifts the floor, what would be 2 weeks turns into 6 months pretty quickly, and that's the situation here.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No question.
No questions.
All right, on the basis then of Mr. Hurdle's letter to the board of July 28 and his proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on materials and letter from the attorney and his proffer, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days for the B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Based on counsel's proffer today and his July 28th letter, I too vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hurdle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward.
That concludes this matter before the board. Moving forward to item number 19 on the regular docket, ERS Incorporated, trading as Steampunk Alley. Proposed premises are located at 870 Park Avenue. Holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article 12-1705B.
All right, thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman. Kim Thompson is the applicant. They have set some tax issues. You've seen my letter, and therefore we're asking for an additional 90 days.
Actually, I think Mr. Thompson wrote us the letter, and he sent you a copy.
You are correct. That was not my signature.
Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No question.
Thank you. On the basis then of Mr. Thompson's letter to the board of August 22nd and council's proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this Class BG7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on materials and letter from the licensee and proffer from the attorney, I also vote to approve the request for transfer hardship extension of 90 days for Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Based on the letter provided on August 22nd and proffer made by council today, I too vote to approve this 90-day transfer hardship extension of this Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board, which concludes all the matters on the regular items of the docket. Is the board ready to move forward to violations, Mr. Chair?
We are.
Calling violation number 1, 1750 Thames Licensee LLC, trading as Pendry Hotel. Premises are located at 715 Thames Street. Holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license. Licensee is charged with one violation of the board's rules, and that is a violation of Rule 3.02 cooperation, stemming from one incident dating on June the 24th, 2023.
Mr. Fogelman?
Thank you very much, Stephen W. Fogelman. This is a denial.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'll accuse myself on the record.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I meant to say, so Commissioner Templeton is going to recuse himself from this, and the commissioner here and I are going to hear this case, okay? I'm not going to request that he leave the board. He's just not going to participate. You said it's a denial, so will all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Chief, you want to tell us what happened?
Sure. Sorry. I'm back. Chief Chris Amalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On June 24th at approximately 02:30 hours while on duty working with the Baltimore City Fells Point deployment, I was notified by Major Saunders that a white male with a large knife slashed the tires of a BPD wagon. The wagon was parked directly across from the Pendry Hotel. When the Major approached the security manager and asked to view the exterior cameras so that she can broadcast a better description of the suspect that was running with a large knife, she was told to get a subpoena. She notified me of the situation, and I went to the location and asked to speak to the manager on duty. Ms. Janice Williams came out, and I explained to her that the outdoor security footage needed to be reviewed because there was a suspect with a large knife and possibly under the influence of some substance running around with a large knife. Ms. Williams stated to me that as she told the major, we would need either a subpoena or a warrant to view the footage. I made her aware that per the rules and regulations of the liquor license, the establishment was under obligation to cooperate with any city, state, or federal agencies, and failure to do so would result in a violation for non-cooperation. At this time, she stated she was following company rules and she would not share footage. I made her aware of the violation that was going to be written, and I left the location without any further incident.
Questions for the chief?
Yes, very briefly, thank you. So it says you were on the task force that night, right?
Correct.
So
It was in Fells Point.
were you with the major most of the night, a part of the night?
Well, some of the night. We
Okay.
usually do checks together.
Yeah. So this was after 2 o'clock?
Correct.
So you had run through the closings and
Correct.
things were winding down in Fells Point, it's fair to
That's-
say. All right, when did you learn of this vandalism incident, the tires going out on the BPD wagon?
Instantly, because I'm on their channel, on their
Okay.
BPD radio
So
channel.
you heard it come across?
Correct.
Okay, so did you go with the major into the hotel?
I did not originally, no.
All right, and let's talk a little bit about this vandalism. How many tires were cut?
I know at least one.
Okay, at least one tire was cut. And how did the major, I assume it was the major who told you it was a white male with a large knife?
That's correct.
Okay, and did she also tell you that they were suspected of being on something, as you put in your report?
Well, we found that out minutes afterwards because some witnesses stated that they saw a man that was wearing no shoes, screaming, running around with a knife. So I assumed that he was under the influence of something.
Okay. But you weren't concerned that he was going to be a slasher and running around the neighborhood killing people, right?
I was very concerned that someone under some sort of influence was running around with a knife.
Okay,
And
but
was
Okay, but at the end of the day, it was a vandalism incident, isn't that right?
at that moment, yes.
Okay, and did they ever find the guy?
No.
Okay, and it's fair to say the major was pretty upset about it, right? I mean, this is her boss's property, right?
She was.
Okay.
Well, she was.
All right, so when's the last time the Inspections Division has been called upon by the Baltimore Police Department to assist with an urgent tire slashing investigation? In its history, if you know.
BPD has called the liquor board numerous times every week to assist with gathering of footage and/or addressing a licensee.
Addressing a licensee.
Specifically a tire slashing, I don't recall.
Okay, so it'd probably be pretty rare though, right? It's violence they call you out for, fights, cuttings, right?
Correct.
Not cuttings of tires, right?
That fell under the preview of violence, though. You had a male with a large machete-style knife, as witnesses stated, running around Fells Point at 2:30 in the morning.
Okay, and don't you think that the major, in demanding that footage from the night manager in the middle of the night for really what was a minor property crime, was that a bit overreaching on her part?
Not at all. There's a lot of violence in Fells Point, as we discuss on weekly city calls. And anyone running around Fells Point with a knife is not just a tire slashing. It's a concern for safety.
Okay, and did she let you know, the major, that she had the security manager's cell phone number for the hotel?
She had the director of security's number, who was, I believe she stated, and I could be wrong at this time, was out of state. He was on vacation.
And did she tell you that she had a good working relationship with the security director, Mr. Lasker?
She did.
Okay. And did she also let you know that the Pendry had shared video many times with her own district officers, including at
she did
least
not.
one shooting?
She did not share that info with me.
So, you still understand, this is an alleged tire slashing, right?
No, sir.
I mean, were there other charges levied against this defendant?
He had a large knife running around Fells Point. That was the major concern. It wasn't the damaging of a tire.
And did you become aware that BPD got to see that video within 12 hours on a Sunday? In the middle of the night, the request is made for vandalism, and within 12 hours, the officers are watching that video in the Pendry. Are you aware of that?
I wasn't aware of that. It's when an establishment is open, they should be able to, whoever's in charge of security at that time should be able to access the video at that time, because 12 hours later, that gentleman could have ran around and stabbed who knows how many people.
Right, but the bar and restaurant had long been closed when you got there, isn't that right?
But they were still there.
They were, who's they?
The employees and the hotel was still
But
open.
not the employees who serve alcohol, right?
Security was
Okay,
there.
but there was no underlying misconduct committed by the Pendry at that time, was there?
Just not sharing the video.
Okay, but you've done so many of these non-cooperations, and you've gotten your charges sustained. I used to be on the other side, and I remember people who would hide the marked $20 bill. They'd get non-cooperation, right?
So,
Right? Right? I mean, it's a yes or no question. You remember the guys who would not give back the $20?
Correct.
Okay, so, or how about a time where the inspector tells somebody to turn the music down, and then when they're going back to their car, they hear the bartender turn it back up? That's a non-cooperation, right?
that would just be a noise violation.
Okay.
That wouldn't necessarily be a
And,
non-cooperation.
You know, so I guess, can you tell me another instance where this agency has charged a licensee for non-cooperation when that licensed establishment was closed at 2 a.m. and was not accused of being connected in any way, shape, or form with the underlying alleged crime across the street?
Per our articles.
No, I'm asking you if you know of any other time,
Yes.
any other example?
Yes,
that you tell the
there has
board?
been other times where we have went to an establishment and charged for failure to cooperate. I don't know the specific cases, because as our rules and regulations state, you don't have to just cooperate when you're open. You have to cooperate if anyone is at the property, then they have to cooperate with this agency and/or any other city, state, or federal agencies.
But after the guests are asleep at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, when the bar's been shut down for an hour?
We're not interviewing guests. We're interviewing security that was on staff, positioned outside of the hotel.
Okay, given that you now know that the police were able to see the video on Sunday, before Monday even came, wouldn't you agree with me this could have been as simple as a Monday morning phone call from BPD, maybe a little meeting with security?
I would disagree.
Okay, but you do understand that this is a great business, right?
I do.
Okay, and you understand that the allegations of wrongdoing can't be unalleged, right? We can't expunge this hearing, right? We can't expunge
That's
the
correct.
charges, can we? But you understand that you have the discretion not to charge these folks, maybe until a meeting was held, right?
Absolutely not. At that time, I thought it was absolutely necessary to charge the establishment because, again, it was a public safety concern that I had and that the major had.
All right, but you don't contend, or you would agree with me that when a major is running a district and it's a Sunday morning, middle of the night, that there might be more important things than an act of vandalism on her vehicle?
Again,
I don't want to end this
Okay.
prematurely, but no one told the chief that it was too late, that they were closed.
Well,
that-
you haven't
that-
heard the testimony, Your Honor, with
Well,
all due respect.
In his report,
Mhm.
the excuse that was given to him was, no excuse, you're not getting it without a subpoena. That's what they said.
Okay.
Nobody said any of those things that you're saying and offering
Sure,
now.
sure. And I'll defer
Okay.
and thank you.
Well, that was his testimony.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Chief. Okay, I will call Mr. Juan Webster. Come on up, Mr. Webster. Have you raised your hand?
I think they've all been sworn, haven't they?
Okay, spell your spellable name.
Juan Webster, Juan, last name Webster, Webster.
Afternoon now, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Webster. What are you doing here?
I'm a general manager and corporate director of social impact for Sagamore, Pingree, Baltimore, and Montage International.
All right, thank you. And you have corporate policies at the Pendry, isn't that right?
We do.
You're
Yes, sir.
full-time?
Yes, sir.
You're the boss at the Pendry?
I am.
Yeah. And what are your policies regarding video?
Video cannot be made, duplicated, or shared without subpoena. That is our corporate policy.
All right. You do, however, have let BPD on many occasions view video, right?
Absolutely.
And many requests have come in, right?
Yes, sir.
And every one have been complied with, isn't that a fact?
Yes, sir.
All right, and in fact, you never had one come in the middle of the night, did you?
Not that I recall.
Okay. And this was a Saturday night in summertime, and your director of security was out of town, right?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Williams, do you believe that she committed misconduct in any way, shape, or form in her role as an employee of the hotel?
I do not. That she was aware of, or that we were aware of.
All right. I have no further questions of you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Was she aware of our rules and regulations?
I'm sure she was aware, but in terms of producing the video, that part I am not certain of.
So you don't know whether she was aware that she had an obligation as a holder of a liquor license to cooperate?
I'm not, let me.
You don't
say-
know?
I don't know that she
So
was
you
not.
don't know
aware.
the answer to the question? Okay.
Correct.
Who does? Who does know the answer to that question?
I think the Director of Security probably would be a more probative witness on
Is
that.
he or she here?
He is.
He is.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Lazarus
Go ahead.
Perry. He'll be my next
Can you
witness.
answer my question?
Come on up, Mr. Perry. Come on up.
Yeah.
Good
Your name,
afternoon,
sir?
everyone. My name is Lazarus Perry. I'm the Director of Security for the Pendry.
Okay, good afternoon.
Could you repeat the question?
My
I'm sorry.
question is, what was the person's name here? Ms. Williams?
Ms. Williams.
She's here.
Oh, Ms. Williams. Well, maybe I should ask Ms. Williams.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
When the chief asked you for this security footage, were you aware that as a liquor license holder, you had an obligation to cooperate?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, that answers my question.
Further, Mr. Perry, in fact, you received a phone call from the major at 2:54 a.m. in that morning, right?
That is correct.
And you didn't wake up until about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at the beach?
Correct.
All right,
Correct.
and you called her back at that time?
I did.
And in fact, within a few hours, she was in watching the video, isn't that right?
Right. She sent some officers to watch the video.
Okay, and obviously, you were in a situation where you haven't had an employee ask for video in the middle of the night, correct?
Correct. In fact, Ms. Williams, for the most part, was new in that role overnight because we just transitioned someone out. So this was one of the few nights that she would even have been there overnight. Number one, and then number two, normally during the day, if we get those requests, I'm usually there, or I'm easily contactable if the situation does arise. So this was just an odd hour and odd time.
Yeah,
for it to occur
once
that
the
way.
major saw the video, was the major angry with you or your staff?
No, not at all. There was nothing that could be seen from the video. It wasn't on our property. And they were more trying to piece together what may have, because it was alleged, they're more just trying to piece together what was alleged. They didn't see it occur. So the video that we gave them didn't help or not help, because we just, from what we seen, we didn't have any video of any evidence showing of a white male with a pink shirt waving a knife.
And the major's been a guest at the Pendry, right?
Yeah, she's come there many times. She's reviewed film. She normally sends officers to review film. It hasn't been a problem at all.
And was it possible there was a miscommunication of the policy here?
It was absolutely, in fact, and that's where I take it on, because once we put someone in a new position, it's my responsibility to make sure that they're aware of policies and how we work with the Baltimore Police Department when it comes to events that occur and things of that nature.
Do you think she misunderstood the policy between duplicating video and letting somebody watch it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I?
Ms. Williams, yes, you are absolutely.
Sorry.
And you spell your name, sorry.
Janice Williams. By all means, working in security there, I am aware of the rules and regulations. But in that instance, it was a misunderstanding and a miscommunication on how I am to conduct with allowing the officers to come in and to view the screening. If I had understood it in that way, I would have done it that way. There was no reason I would have purposely avoided them to come in to see something that had happened. It was just a miscommunication on my part. I was trying to be, to the best of my knowledge, I was being straightforward. I stood on what I believed. I stood on how I had received it. And if it was asked of me in a different way, would I have done something different? I'm not going to say that I would, because I stood on what I thought, on the way I was taught on it. But today, I do understand the ramification. I understand how it's to be conducted. I understand now that we are able to allow them to come in and to look at the footage and to review it. But again, that particular night, that morning, I did not understand it, and that was all there was to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please.
Did you have a question?
Yes, question or statement. I just want to say, Mr. Chair, that the issue is here is cooperation with the inspectors. And I think that the manager, you know, owned up to that, and you understand, and that's what I want to see. I think it was taken care of, that when a liquor inspector comes in and wants to see records or whatever, that they're allowed to see them. That's their
Absolutely.
responsibility. But it seems like you owned up to it and you took care of it. So that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And if I may be heard, I don't even think this raised to a level of a violation, and I am absolutely serious. The rule here is very simple: shall cooperate with representatives who are on official business. I have heard non-cooperation charges bandied about this board for a decade and a half. I have never seen one where the licensee was not accused of committing some other misconduct beyond this. The fact that they have a hotel and that they're a licensee whose door might be still open, but their bar and restaurant are long closed, made them, quite frankly, an easy target for the BPD. There are cameras all on the 1700 block of Thames Street, where my office is, where Daily Grind, Riptide, Waterfront Hotel, and the list goes on and on. Those places were properly closed, so they wouldn't be able to get that video until the morning. And quite frankly, this case is shocking to my conscience as a Baltimore City resident, taxpayer. It was really, to be honest, I believe a small-scale, low-level abuse of power by the major, because she's the major of the district, and her top priority right now is vandalism against her vehicle, to the point that she wants to almost frisk someone to show them video in the middle of the night. Whereas me and hundreds of my neighbors in Canton and Fells Point have had their cars broken into in the middle of the night, and nobody's knocking on doors asking for security footage then. So it's a low-dollar property crime. The only thing that was bleeding on Thames Street that night was air from a tire. And for her to raise that to the level of a homicide investigation is, quite frankly, an affront to a lot of people. So I think this sends a bad message to businesses in Baltimore. This is a great business. It's a crown jewel of Baltimore. And I think it was in reality, cooperation was made. Middle of the night, 3 a.m. for a property crime and then 12 hours later you have the video. That's not non-cooperation. That's a little bit of a misunderstanding. So I do not believe they are responsible for this charge. Furthermore, I think I may rest there.
Okay. Commissioners
Thank
have any questions?
No questions. I can't. You can't.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. I forgot that you had recused yourself, I apologize. So, okay, I think enough. You've taken up a lot of our time.
I know, I'm sorry for that.
So, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, the arguments from counsel, et cetera, I find a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on June 24, 2023. I disagree with your characterization of this. I think when there's a person who is identified as running around with a machete-type knife in Fells Point, even in the middle of the night, barefoot and possibly inebriated or high, that they're a danger to the community, and that they had every reason to try to find the person and stop the person. I think there's miscommunication, but the response was adamant that we're not going to help, and that's not the proper response when the chief of our organization comes and asks a licensee for assistance. So I think there's a violation here. I also understand there's some miscommunication back and forth, and that Ms. Williams wasn't aware of the tension between the corporate rule and the other things. I don't think this is the biggest offense I've ever seen in my life, but it is an offense. So I would impose a $250 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
Okay.
Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I agree with the chair's findings that the main issue was cooperation, and I think that was taken care of. Again, I agree with the chair's findings, a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on June 24, 2023, and a fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
I close it for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Chief Inspector Chris Malice.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Let's hope we don't have to
Thank you all.
do this again.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council's received instructions on how to advise client how to pay the fine imposed by the board today and any fees attendant to the fine. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Item number 2 on the violations docket, Wendy's Bar Incorporated, trading as Bizantio Cafe and Bar. Premises are located at 4616 to 18 Eastern Avenue, holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and are charged with 2 violations of the board's rules stemming from the same incident on June the 11th, 2023. That is a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare for cutting, and a violation of Rule 3.03C, employee records.
Counsel?
Thank you, Stephen W. Fogelman. Last case of the day, not responsible. I'm sorry. Do this to you ever again, I promise.
Did you say it's a denial?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And Agent Perez, you going to present this?
Yes.
Have you been sworn?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
All right, tell us what happened on June 11, please.
On June 11, about 12 a.m., I responded alone, Chief Chris O'Malley's, to this establishment located at 4616 Eastern Avenue for a report involving a bar patron and bouncer. It was an alleged assault at the location. Once at the location, I learned that a bar patron cut the face of the bar bouncer while the bouncer was trying to remove this patron. By the time we got there, the victim was no longer there. It was taken to Bayview Hospital for treatment. I tried to get identification of this individual from Miss Gloria. She told me she didn't have any form of identification for this bar employee. She told me that he wasn't her employee, he was contracted to Halar Protective Service. We in the past also mentioned on the last time they appeared before the board that Halar Protective Service.
Objection. I don't remember inspectors talking about, characterizing what was said at the board the last time someone was here. That's a new one to me.
Well, I'll overrule. He can tell us. Go ahead.
Okay, on that previous hearing and also on a previous investigation, we discovered that company was not registered with the state as a security company. And based on a agreement that was provided to us, that alleged security companies wanted to provide a staff, not directly employed by Halar Protective Service.
But you violated them for not giving you the records, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, questions for the inspector. Thank you. Okay, so licensee does not deny that employee records were not available, just so we can clear that up. But tell me about this investigation you did on Halal.
I didn't do the investigation. That was Chief Chris O'Malley's part.
And do you know how the investigation was conducted?
I requested an agreement from Ms.
Yeah.
Gloria. She provided an agreement to me. I reviewed the agreement. And
Right.
The agreement was
In fact, I provided it to Chief Chris Amalis on his request. Isn't that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And let me just ask you this. What is let's get away from Halal, and let's just talk about what happened there. A security guard, an employee, somebody paid for by the bar, gets stabbed by a customer. How is that the bar's fault?
I didn't do the charges, sir.
Oh, you didn't do the charges. All right, but you're presenting them, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you, honestly, in your mind, what do you think? If I hire a security guard and the security guard gets stabbed ejecting a customer, how have I, the bar, failed when it comes to that violence? How have I failed?
That bouncer should have made sure that person didn't have a knife on him before he went into the bar.
And that's possible in all of the 1,300 liquor licenses that you inspect?
It could be possible.
Does Judge Matriciani does he get patted down when he goes to lunch and they have a liquor license?
Sure.
Okay. Now, are you aware that that night they didn't have any unauthorized live entertainment, right?
I didn't
Okay.
witness any.
Right. They didn't have any sales to minors that night, did they?
Nope.
They didn't have any being open after prohibited hours, right?
It was happening around midnight.
Right. There was no failure to call police because of some stabbing that went on a block away, like in the past, right? Okay. So here we have security doing their job, ejecting an unruly customer, and then The poor guy gets stabbed outside. How is that the bar's fault? How?
Like I said earlier, the bouncer should have made sure that knife never went to the bar.
Okay, now you've heard that they have a new security guard. There's a new sheriff in town, right?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know who they are?
I heard it's elite.
Yep,
service.
Elite Police Protection. Do you have any opinions on whether or not that's a reputable company?
It is a reputable.
Okay. Do you believe that with Elite Police Protection there, that things will be better managed?
I'm sure it will.
Okay. And in fact, as far as I know, there have been no violations since Elite took over last month, right?
There's been no problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So,
Yes.
yeah, for the life of me, look, I understand no employee records. I understand that security companies need to be licensed. That would be on halal, okay? Halal is not, the licensee is not responsible for halal's licensing status, nothing of which has been conclusively proven. What we do know, like I just said, is that there were no other violations in play that night at all. And many of those violations I've mentioned, they've had problems with before. I'm not just saying them as examples. I'm saying them as actual concrete examples of past conduct. So they've been trying to clean up their act. But when a patron stabs a security guard after he's ejected, I don't see how that is the bar's disturbance of the general welfare. It's a disturbance to the security guard for sure, but it's not conduct that really could have been prevented. And I then submit that there is no law requiring frisking, requiring metal detectors before anybody enters. And I can say to every member of this board, if restaurants and bars had those policies, we probably wouldn't go to those places. We want to go to a safe place. So anybody can have a penknife. You can have a knife shaped like a little pen I've got in my pocket. There's no 100% way to ensure that no patron who enters is going to react in a violent way once he's ejected from the bar. So I submit to the employee records, I submit that the licensee did not violate 3.12. Further, if you don't already have them, I want to show you the copy of the letter from Brandon Burr, the president.
Oh, is this, we have.
Okay, and that's Brandon Burr, the president of
It's been
Elite.
received, yes.
Thank you.
We have
of
it right
Elite
here.
Police Protection. He's been on site for over a month, and they've had no problems. Obviously, this place has had many problems in the past, and you did say next time you come in here, and I understand that, and we understand that. But at the end of the day, they've been getting better. I know it's hard to read a trajectory because this place has been all over the map, but certainly in the last 4 or 5 months, this place has been trying to learn from its mistakes. But something like this, where a security guard does his job and gets stabbed, that's unfortunate. That could mean a lawsuit somewhere with the patron or even the security guard and the licensee. But that shouldn't be considered some kind of illegal conduct by the liquor board. So, thank you.
Okay, commissioners have any questions?
Yeah, just a statement, a question, Mr. Chair. Reading this report, I understand what you're saying about general welfare, but this comes back to, it's not on here, the records, but the records are on here, but I'm talking about cooperation, is that the establishment is liable for the actions of the bouncers. And then when they asked who the bouncer was from the liquor inspector, they're saying they could not be identified, and there was no employee records for his employment at the establishment. So that's my issue.
Sure. And we
I don't
admit-
understand why, I'm going into the weeds, a simple cooperation with the liquor board inspector of, hey, he works for me, blah, blah, blah. That never materialized. And I don't know why that narrative isn't there. I just don't understand.
Let me do my best to fill that in. First of all, the allegation was not that they wouldn't tell them who it was. It's that they didn't have employee records to show the driver's license or the passport of the stabbed bouncer. So there was no non-cooperation charged in this matter.
Right.
She knew the name, I believe. She just didn't have his employee records, as is required by Rule 303C. And I might have been hasty at first, but that is an admission, okay, to that charge. The licensee is admitting to that charge. But as far as the cutting, the bouncer, there was no non-cooperation here. There was a lack of employee records, and that's a violation. But there was a bouncer, let's not even call him a security guard, a bouncer who put somebody out and got stabbed. And that shouldn't bring a bar down, especially when you're paying for security. I mean, it's worse if it's a bartender who got stabbed for throwing someone out. The security they're in good hands with security now, and we hope that you won't see them back here again. We understand that their record is poor, and I'll submit on that.
Do you have anything?
I have no questions.
All right, thank you. Have they been otherwise cooperative?
Yes.
Okay. All right. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, the admission as to the 3.03 small c violation, and any other evidence received. I find a violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on June 11, 2023, and I find a violation of Rule 3.03, small c records, on June 11, 2023. As to the records violation, I'd impose a $500 fine and give them 30 days to pay. As to the extenuating circumstances on the other violation, I'd impose a $250 fine and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Yes. Mr. Chair, based on the materials and testimony provided today from the attorney, I agree with the chair's findings of violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare cutting on June 11, 2023, and a fine of $250. I also agree with the chair's findings of violation of Rule 3.03C, records employees on June 11, 2023, and with a fine of $500.
Based on the investigation report, charting documents, and testimony provided today, I too find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare cutting, and impose a $250 fine, 30 days to pay, and a violation of Rule 3.03C, the records, and that was an admission made by counsel, and impose a $500 fine with 30 days to pay also.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Agent Perez. Board Exhibit 2, owner's agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending a nice chunk of your morning with me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Have a good one. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council's received instructions on how to pay the fines imposed by the board today, which must be done within 30 days per the board order. Shall I call the final matter, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 3 on today's violations docket, Castle Seafood Incorporated, trading as Castle Seafood Restaurant. Premises are located at 3720 Potee Street, holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, and are charged with several violations of the board's rules stemming from one incident on June the 17th, 2023. That is a violation of Rule 4.14, small a, live entertainment without authorization. A violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct for violating the BMZA Resolution 240-04, requiring no jukebox or other form of live entertainment. A violation of Rule 4.18, alterations for constructing an outdoor bar without a prior permission being granted. A violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct for violating BMZA Resolution 240-04, requiring no outdoor bar. And that is all.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the licensee. There would be a general denial. I'd like to hear from the inspector and also make a motion for sequestering the witnesses.
Who is going to testify in this case? You're Inspector Jordan, right?
So-
and who are the ladies behind you?
I'm Andrea Mann.
And you are here in what capacity?
I'm a business owner in Brooklyn. My family's business has been in Brooklyn since
Do
1945.
Yeah.
Also a resident.
Did you observe?
Do you have firsthand knowledge of what happened on June 17th, 2023 at the location? Were you?
Do I have the
Were you there when this happened?
I was not.
Oh, and who are you, ma'am?
Jen Ewan, also a Brooklyn resident, and yes,
You were there at this?
I was not on the premises. I consider the premises dangerous.
I mean, did you
but
observe
I live-
this?
Yes, I live
Okay.
about 3 blocks away.
Okay.
So-
Are you talking about the music for?
I'm talking about whatever happened on June 17, 2023. Were you there at, what time does this thing say?
10:30.
Yes, in the evening?
So if
I
just
just wanted, were you eyewitnesses to this? That's my only question.
Ear witness. So I live a half a mile from the establishment.
Okay.
So-
And I'd like to explain a little bit further. if you
No,
could-
I'm trying to decide whether I need to sequester the witnesses. Can I ask you ladies to step outside till we call you, okay?
Sure.
All right, thank you. All right, Inspector, you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, I have been sworn.
Oh, yeah, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Inspector Jordan.
Okay. Can you speak into the mic, Inspector? Sure.
On June 17th, 2023, I received a complaint number 2300456576. The complaint was for outdoor live entertainment and an illegal bar outside. I arrived at the Castle Food Restaurant at 10:15 p.m. When I approached the establishment, I could hear the loud music from the parking lot area in my car. Once inside, I noticed that there was a DJ set up outside, and there was a bar outside. I spoke to Mr. Acevedo. He admitted that he wasn't allowed to have the outdoor bar, and he quickly cleared that out and put all the alcohol away. However, he disagreed with me regarding the outdoor live entertainment, but he did agree to bring the live entertainment inside.
Okay, do you have questions for her?
Yeah, just very simply, is it, so when you got there, you don't know who the complaint came from?
I believe there was a person, it wasn't anonymous, I believe there was a name.
Okay, and when you got there, it was 10:15, it was not late in the evening, is that correct?
Yeah.
In the report, I think it says 10:15.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then when you got there, Mr. Acevedo was cooperative with you, and then whatever you asked him to do, he did, is that correct?
Yes.
There was a discussion as to whether about the live entertainment, on the license, it does say live entertainment is permitted, correct?
No, it's permitted inside.
But does it say inside?
He's supposed to kick you to keep you
Okay.
quiet.
Does it say inside on here, it says with live entertainment? I'm reading what it says on the license.
Well, I look at the actual license.
Well, this is what it says right on the license, I'm reading it right from it. Use entire premises, which is the whole premises.
May I see that?
Yeah, sure, it's your records.
Provide outdoor table service. It's outdoor table service.
And it says live entertainment, you skipped over that.
In line, not live. Because Mr. Acevedo kept reading that to me, and he kept telling me in live, but it says in line.
Live entertainment.
Line with, if you continue on, it says in line with the BMZA.
You don't know anything about the BMZA hearing, do you?
He did not have his BMZA available to look at.
There was no zoning violation in this matter, is that correct?
I don't issue zoning violations.
You have nothing to do with that. So if it was something to do with the BMZA, that's not what you would get involved with?
Well, yes, because it's an agreement, and if it's on the license, I look at the BMZA.
But you don't, there was no violation as far as you know with the BMZA, is that correct?
She doesn't issue those
No,
licenses,
okay.
right? Those violations.
But there was no zoning violation as far as you know, issued by the zoning department. The outdoor,
No, that's not what I was there for, no.
okay, an outdoor table service, the outdoor table service is permitted, correct?
Yes.
And along with that, you said that there was a bar. How many times have you been to the premises before this date?
I would say a handful of times.
Bar's always been there, in the outside, correct?
The outdoor bar, I don't recall if it's been there.
Now, when you say outdoor bar, do you have 3 compartments there?
It appears to be a walk-up bar.
Yeah, a portable type bar, correct?
No, it's a wood
bar stools in front of it?
establishment. No, it doesn't have
Okay.
stools.
And you don't know if it has a 3-compartment sink like a bar would have? And the bar inside has to have a 3-compartment sink, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But Mr. Acevedo agreed that he wasn't supposed to have the bar, and he quickly cleared it out.
But you don't know how long that bar was there. You haven't seen that he put up a alteration. You don't know if that bar had been there 5 years, 10 years, 20. You don't know. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. But whatever you did with Mr. Arcendo, he was cooperative with you, is that correct?
Yes.
And how many people were outside, would you say? I'm just, for a second.
I have a picture of the outside, including the DJ setup. And there's maybe a dozen people out there. It was early.
It was a nice night.
Oh, it was a beautiful night.
Hey, everybody was having a nice time. Having fun.
Okay. Could someone ask the first lady that went back there to come in? Getting your money's worth today, Larry.
I'm just going to give him another shirt.
Yeah, come on up, please.
And could you repeat her name?
Yes, please.
My name is Andrea Mayer, Andrea Mayer.
And would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what did you want to tell us, Ms. Mayor?
So, I just want to be clear, I'm very pro-bar, pro-restaurant, pro-small business. My family's business has been in Brooklyn since 1945. My dad started it. I now own the business along with my mother. I practically grew up at the 4100 Club. I don't know if you're familiar with that restaurant. It's no longer there. Awesome place. I've been to almost every bar restaurant in the city. Hammer Jack's before Camden Yards was there. I think you get the picture. I'm pro-small business. I'm also pro-neighborhood. The only reason I knew that this business had reopened up is because I'm sitting in my home, all the windows, doors locked, windows closed. Husband and I are listening to music, and I hear all the sounds, and I'm like, what is going on? At first, I thought my neighbors were having a party and didn't invite me, but then I realized that a half a mile away from where my home is, the sound is coming from this business. And it happens all the time now, and our neighbors are constantly calling up and complaining, and I'm really disappointed because I wish this was a place that supported the neighborhood of Brooklyn. I mean, we really do need good bars and restaurants in our neighborhood. That's what make places like Canton thrive, and, you know, I know you understand this. It's just, and I do not want to be here. I really don't want to be here. I want everybody to succeed, but you shouldn't succeed by hurting other people. You shouldn't do things just for the sake of making a buck.
Okay, I understand. So,
And-
do you have questions for us, Mr. Kadensky?
You definitely know that it was June 17th, 2023 at 10 o'clock, and something was coming from this establishment. Is that the date you're
There's many dates, yes.
I'm
Yes.
asking only
Yes.
about June 17th.
Yes.
You know what day of the week that was?
June 17th?
Yes.
It could have been Saturday.
Well, you don't know that. That's what you're telling me.
I can look it up if you'd like.
I'm just asking you real simple. I don't want you to be argumentative with me.
I'm not trying to
You don't know
be.
the date,
I
and
will-
you don't know.
I will look it up.
No, I'm just saying, do you know right now that that's the date in question here?
Yes.
And you called the complaint in. You were the one that called it in.
I don't think it was me. It might have been Jan. Could have been another
It
neighbor.
could have been, you don't know who called it in.
It could have been me. I've called in a bunch of complaints.
Do you know anybody that runs the establishment? Have you ever been down there?
I have not.
Do you know why you haven't been down there? Just to say hello, how are you?
I don't know why I
You
would.
lived there the whole time of your life. You said you look for a nice
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's worthwhile? You as a
Well, the
business
thing
person
is,
said.
is that when I got disturbed a half a mile away with all this noise, I did some investigating, and I tend not, and like I said, I've been to a lot of places, Ravens games, Orioles games, and here's my thing.
My question is
I want
now
to
with
explain to you
regard
the
to this place.
videos that I saw when I see a bunch of very large men that have what appears to be, they definitely have guns, and they have police on the back of it because
On June
they are.
17th, that was on June 17th, you saw that.
I did not.
No further questions this witness.
Okay, can I explain?
No.
I have a question for you, ma'am. Did this noise or music or whatever you heard, is that emanating from the outdoor of this establishment?
Yes.
It wasn't from the indoor?
No.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
But you didn't go down there to see us where the music was coming from?
Yes, I did.
And you talked with the
I could hear
inspector?
it.
No, did you talk to the inspector?
I did not.
All right, so who did you see when you went down there?
I didn't see anybody. I heard.
No further questions.
Yes.
I heard.
Just real quick, it's been a long day, Mr. Chair, everyone, but reading the report, especially with the live entertainment without authorization on Rule 4.14, small a, it seems that Mr. Savito, if I'm pronouncing his name, who volunteered to close the outdoor bar, and he admitted he was in violation. So there was an admission that he was in violation. And regards to, since the attorney brought up the BMZA, which we're not involved in, I don't want to go in the weeds with them, but at that hearing back in 1990, it was permitted for a crab garden, and there will be no outdoor bar, and there will be no jukebox or other form of live entertainment. And I just want to make sure, am I correct in saying that that the place you transferred to the above named corporation was back in June of 1990, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Let me hear from the other lady, okay? Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you tell us your name again, please?
Jan Eveland,
Evelyn? How do you spell it?
E-V as in Victor, E-V-E-L-A-N-D.
Okay. Ms. Evelyn, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So you understand that they're here because they're charged with events that occurred on June 17. So is there anything you can tell us about that occasion?
I can tell you that when at my house, I hear music that is loud enough to rattle my windows,
How far away do you live?
about 5 blocks. I get in my car and I drive over to the location to see if that's where the music is coming from. By the way, it's always been that's where it's coming from. And then I drive along Potee and look back in the doors where you can see a bar. So I see people, I see a bar, and I hear very loud music.
You're talking about outdoor music?
Outdoors.
Yes, okay. Do you have questions for
Yeah.
Ms. Evelyn?
Do you know it was June 17th?
Yes, because I called in the
You're
311.
the one who called the complaint in?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how long have you lived in that neighborhood?
7 years.
Okay. For the whole time that you lived there, this establishment has been there, is that correct?
No, it's been closed for most of the time.
But the premises was there the whole time, correct?
The building was there,
And the
absolutely.
outdoors was there, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And as far as anything that was outside, it's always, for the 7 years that you know that you lived there, it's always been that way. It may be painted different colors and so forth, but it's been, always been the indoors with the outdoors, is that correct?
I'm not sure your question. Yes, there is an indoor space, yes, there is an
There's
outdoor space.
And that hasn't changed within the last 7 years that you've been there, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, and have you ever been in the place?
God, no.
Well, you can say, God, no. Well, why would you bring God in this?
Because I've seen the videos of what goes on in
But
there.
you wouldn't ever want to say no to the people who own the place. You've never stopped in to see them.
No.
No, you're head of the Improvement Association or whatever, is that correct?
No, I'm the
I don't-
CEO of a community organization called Action Baybrook, yes.
Okay, so when-
And we deal with problem properties like this one.
All right. But this place was here before you were there.
Absolutely.
I know it was.
Well, the physical location, yes. This activity, no.
All right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. You can, your friend and you can sit down if you'd like, you don't have to stay outside.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Kinnisi, before you go on, so, I mean, is it Mr. Acevedo, is that how you say his name?
That's one.
Our inspector has noted that he was very cooperative, that he was helpful, that when she approached him about these problems, he abated the problems. We're very much aware of that. But it doesn't look like he has authority to have this outdoor
And
event.
I think was a little bit of the mix. I mean, I'm not trying to say it did, it didn't happen. And I think you've all seen it. It wasn't like it was, a lot of people out there, a few people on a nice night. It wasn't like it was overcrowded and causing problems. Now, given all I'm saying, it's a little bit misleading when you read how the license is given, but I would have the tendency to agree with you that it was more of a BMZA situation that's a zoning, not so much a liquor board situation. And when you go ahead and do both sides of it, it seems like a little bit of overkill when you say one and then you charge illegal conduct. It's almost like a lesser included offense. It's the same offense, same night. That's my argument. Number two, with regard to the alteration, nobody knows when that little area bar, as you can see, was put there. So it may be there 7 or 8 or 10 years. Don't know whether it was ever noted it was there. So I don't know how.
But it was there on June 17th.
Yeah, but when it was there, what had been there? It was indicated 1990 when the place was changed or not. So there was no alteration from what it's been for the last 7 years. It's been cooperative. We're trying to straighten this issue out. And I would just add with that, I just don't want, it's been a long day, I don't want to give you a Steve Fogelman defense.
Okay, do the commissioners have any questions?
Just a statement real quick, Mr. Chair, is that this establishment has had a number of violations. It's in the report. I see 1, 2,
Well, a
3,
number of them were
4,
dismissed,
A number
but-
of violations.
And-
All illegal,
sorry.
all illegal conduct. And here we are here again with 4 violations. I just, does your client, well, you can answer this, understand the rules and regulations of the liquor board?
Yes, he does.
Forget the BMCA, I mean, this ain't a zoning board hearing, but he admitted, he didn't deny that he was in violation. Does he understand, your client, that he's got to respect and go by the rules and regulations of the liquor
Yeah,
board?
and in response to that, I mean, the violations that were there before, they weren't with regard to outdoor entertainment or alterations of the bar or anything. And out of that, most of them were dismissed on the 20th of 2000.
But he was helped with cooperation. He's had sales to minors. He's had open and operating.
That was before this gentleman was put on the license.
Well,
He was just
maybe,
at it recently. And
maybe.
sales to minors was 2018, which has been quite some time ago, and then before that was 2014. So, I mean, it's been a long period of time. I think the culture of the area is changing a little bit, and they're trying to provide something for them, the culture that he applies to. Still has to abide by the rules and regulations. I'm not saying, that he doesn't, but I think the fact that he was cooperative, it was 10 o'clock at night, it wasn't like it was 2 o'clock in the morning where people were spilling out over the neighborhood. I feel like you have to take that into consideration.
I agree with the cooperation, but he admitted guilt that he was in violation. And again, I'm repeating myself, Mr. Chair, there's been a number of violations going all the way back to 2012. So, there's a long history there in regards to the community has to deal with this. So, go ahead.
So your admission is to all 4? Is that what you're saying? Or I want to make sure I understand.
What I'm trying to say is that when you look into one, you're piggybacking
I
a
understand
alleged
that.
violation and you say it's illegal. There's no BMZA, then you say that's illegal. There's no finding with the BMZA. You're saying that there was the alteration, but there's no proof that when that alteration took place. And then you say because of that, you did the illegal part of it. So I just think you put it all together, it's a little bit of overkill in this case.
Of course, the other side of that coin is we could charge him with the violation, and BMZA could also charge him with the violation, and then you'd have double it.
But they didn't.
Right.
And
That's because their
that's-
inspector didn't go there.
Yeah, and they don't usually do that with the zoning part of it. I mean, I'm just trying to, I'm here because I
understand.
represent the people on this side here. I mean, I know what the business is. I'm trying to
I
help
understand your
everything out.
argument.
And then it seems like they're, that when they come there, they were at least cooperative with everybody.
I understand.
Trying to straighten.
Okay. All right. Let's conclude this. So on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the arguments from counsel and all the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.14A, live entertainment without authorization on June 17, 2023. Find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct for violating the BMCA resolution on June 17, 2023. Find a violation of Rule 4.18, alterations with the outdoor bar as of June 17, 2023. And I find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct violating the BMCA resolution on the outdoor bar issue on June 17, 2023. Taking into consideration the history of violations, many of which were dismissed more recently, but there are others. Taking into consideration Mr. Acevedo's cooperation with our inspector, which we very much appreciate when she appeared, I would impose $200 fines as to each of these violations and give him 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Yes. Mr. Chair, based on materials and testimony provided today, I agree with the chair's findings of all 4 violations with this applicant. I really don't want to see him here again. I'm just speaking out loud. But I agree with the chair's findings, violation of Rule 4.14A, live entertainment without authorization, June 17, 2023, of a fine $200. Mr. Chair, can I just say I agree with the other violations?
I think you've got to go through them.
Okay. Read through them?
Yeah, and just state which violations you're
Okay.
finding.
In violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct violating BMZA resolution, and a fine of $200. Also violation of Rule 4.18, alterations of outdoor park, and a fine of $200. And also a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct violating BMZA resolution, no outdoor bar, and a fine of $200.
Commissioner Templeton?
Yes. Based on the application, based on the charges and the testimony provided today and any proffer made by counsel, I too find a violation of Rule 4.14A, live entertainment without authorization on June 17, 2023. I also agree that the chair's the amount of $200 and the 30 days to pay is sufficient in this case, given the background and given that applicant was cooperative. I also see a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct violating the BMZA resolution concerning the no jukebox and any other form of live entertainment. And I believe that the $200 fine in 30 days is appropriate in that violation. Also, I also find a violation of Rule 4.18, alteration of outdoor bar on June 17, 2023, $200 fine and 30 days to pay is my recommendation also. And also on the last violation, I do find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct violating BMZA's resolution concerning no outdoor bar. The fine on that one I impose is $200 with 30 days to pay also. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Ms. Russell?
I call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, violation report, Inspector Jordan. Board Exhibit number 2, zoning appeal dated 6/8/2004. 3, service request summary report. And 4, letter of opposition from Action Baybrook.
Thank you. Good luck, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council has received instructions on how to pay the fines imposed by the board today and any attendant fees. And that concludes all matters on our docket, Mr. Chairman.
I want to read the adjournment, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City shall stand in recess until Thursday, September the 21st, here in City Hall, room 215, 100 North Holiday Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all of our staff and all those who participated today, and we will see you on the 21st. Thank you.